$50 million. A congressman, a senator, worth $50 million, $100 million, even $15, $20 million. How does one get to be worth $15, $20 million when you're in Congress making $165,000 a year? Well, it's important we ask that question because the answer to that question always comes down to this, and we don't think about it and we don't talk about it. They get to that level of wealth because what they're selling is your money. These people take in your money, your tax money, and they give it away to various people, entities at home and abroad. And they understand that that money they put out, your money that they've stolen from you and hand to others, they understand that that money will come back to them. Campaign donations, cushy jobs for money, for wives, girlfriends, children, themselves when they retire. This is how it works out. I saw this report about Ukraine. And this is a report, you've probably seen this little video clip already, but did you see this little video clip about Ukraine?
American taxpayers are financing more than just weapons. We discovered the US government's buying seeds and fertilizer for Ukrainian farmers and covering the salaries of Ukraine's first responders, all 57,000 of them. Russia's invasion shrank Ukraine's economy by about a third. We were surprised to find that to keep it afloat, the US government is subsidizing small businesses. Like Tatiana Abramova's knitwear company. In total, America's pumped nearly $25 billion of non-military aid into Ukraine's economy since the invasion began. And you can see it working at the bustling farmers market on John McCain Street in central Kyiv.
Your money taken from you, given to some little boutique shop in Ukraine while you struggle to pay for groceries. So back to what we were talking about. How are all of these people so wealthy? Well, here's how they're wealthy. They take your money and they essentially hand it out and they get a kickback. All this is done legally. No better example than Adam Schiff, of course. New report is out today. Adam Schiff has earmarked $10 million to various defense contractors. Why would Adam Schiff sign on to give $25 billion to some lady making pastries in Ukraine, all while ignoring you? Well, you see, that $10 million for defense contractors he's earmarked has a way of coming on back home. That way Adam Schiff can enjoy a nice standard of living his whole life. This is why these congressmen, Republican and Democrat, this is why they're all millionaires. They're millionaires because of legal bribery, which brings me perfectly to Kevin McCarthy in the current budget fight we're having.
Well, you have to keep the government open. I mean, if people want to close the government, it only makes them weaker. Why would they want to stop paying the troops or stop paying the border agents or the Coast Guard? I don't understand how that makes you stronger. I don't understand what point you're trying to make.
Yes, of course, it's always about the troops, isn't it? They want to stop paying the troops. Joining me now, great congressman from the state of Texas, Chip Roy. Chip, why do you want to stop paying the troops?
Well, Jesse, look, this is one of the things they pull out every single time that we have a shutdown fight, every single time. It won't just be the troops, right? They'll start talking about, that we're pulling food out of the mouths of orphans. They'll start talking about not paying Border Patrol. They'll pull out all the stops because, they ignore the reality that the government stays open almost entirely, that they'll deem most employees essential, that everybody's going to ultimately get paid, that yes, the real debate is whether or not there's going to be a delay in some folks' pay, which we don't take lightly. These are real. In many cases, there are a lot of patriots, particularly our troops. But at the end of the day, right now, we have one leverage point to try to force this administration to stop screwing each and every American that's watching this right now, and it's true. And we've got to use this power to try to force change. What's happening at the border is completely unacceptable. What's happening at DOJ is unacceptable. What's happening at the Department of Defense in terms of being social engineering is unacceptable. So we've got to force change, and now's the moment. And I'm not going to listen to, we should have passed bills in July. So don't whine about whether we're going to have a government shutdown. The question really simply is this: will Joe Biden choose to shut down the border or shut down the government? That ought to be the message of every Republican right now.
Chip, as it stands with the GOP, where are we with all this? I know where the commies are. I'm not worried about them. Where is the House GOP right now?
So you said it. It's important you gloss over, though, that point about the commies, right? And never before in the history of this country have we ever had such a deadlocked group of people, in this case, every single Democrat in the United States House, that is utterly unwilling to work with us to actually stop insanity with the executive branch trampling the rights of Americans. Never before. It has never been like this. Now we have Republicans who are basically having the actual fight, the actual debate. And look, if I'm being actually giving some grace here, getting 221 people, you got to keep 215, 16, 17 votes. That's not easy. I get it. But Democrats always find a way to do it. And it's about damn time the Republicans finally do it. And so the state of play is this. I wanted to move a very temporary 30-day funding mechanism that would have cut spending by 8%, secured the border, and made sure our defense was funded, but eliminated all the woke garbage, right? The critical race theory, the chief diversity officers, the transgender surgeries. We had a disagreement. Some of my colleagues thought, nope, no way, I'm not touching a CR. And you know what? I respect their position. We need to move appropriations bills. We're trying to move those. Over the weekend, I was meeting here. I was working. I was on the Rules Committee. We passed a package to move 4 bills. Hopefully tonight we will start that process. There's still some disagreement. For example, there's $300 million in the DOD package for Ukraine. I don't believe we ought to continue throwing money at Ukraine, but I'm more concerned about the 20 billion or 30 billion or 50 billion supplemental than 300 million that's been in there since we did an agreement with them to denuclearize in 1994. I would probably go forward. But I got some colleagues who very legitimately don't want to give another dollar to Ukraine. So I'm telling the speaker and the leadership, take it out. What the hell's the problem? Just get rid of it. Have a separate debate on Ukraine. Let's keep this simple. We're trying to make sure we move the border package through. We're trying to make sure we can get the train moving down the tracks and try to get to a place where we can send a loud message to the American people that we're for funding troops, we're for funding Border Patrol, but we're not for giving any money to this administration to continue to be at war with the American people. That's the truth. We need to stop it. Again, let's make the message simple. Joe Biden can shut down the border, or Joe Biden can shut down the government.
Chip, can you explain the Ukraine insistence from people on our side, regardless of wherever you fall on this vote? I understand that, but why are so many people on the right still so obsessed with this Russia-Ukraine thing? Not that I'm pro-Russia or pro-Ukraine or really care, but most American people do not care about this issue one way or the other. They don't care at all. And yet Republicans, like half the party, acts like this is the issue on everyone's mind. It's a really weird disconnect.
Just let me ask you a question. Do you think it is a coincidence that Zelensky was here this past week, right as we're figuring out how to fund our government, and that the last time he was here was last December, right before we were funding our government? Of course, it's not a coincidence. How much do you think many of my Republican colleagues in particular, but both sides of the aisle, are more concerned about what the various lobbyists and defense complex people think in this town in order to continue the wheels of the defense machinery going, right? Because that's what it's all about. If you have perpetual conflict, you have perpetual contracts and perpetual, defense spending. In my view, we need to get very simple here. What is in the interest of the American people? I've authored a number of letters with my friend J.D. Vance in the Senate to the Department of Defense, trying to hold them accountable. They say, hey, we have a full accounting of everything. Well, you know what? We have $31 billion. We don't even know where the hell it went. We sent a letter just yesterday saying to the Department of Defense, answer these questions. I want NATO to step up. I want an accounting of every dollar we've spent, and I want a mission of what we're trying to accomplish. Until I see those things, shut the hell up about Ukraine, secure the damn border, do your job, stop doing the bidding of a bunch of lobbyists in this godforsaken town. That's what we're dealing with right now.